Hey guys, it's Wahima, but just call me Wah. Melanated! Welcome to my recap of Life After Lockup, Season 3, Episode 22, Big Daddy's Back. So this episode was pretty boring, but let's just jump into a little bit of the good stuff that happened in this episode. So since we're talking about Big Daddy's Back, let's just go ahead and talk about Shane and Lacey. So in this episode with Shane and Lacey, we see that John has gotten out of prison, and he is really concerned with the fact that he's unsure if Lacey called the police on him. So from his perspective, him and Lacey started going out, after she dumped Shane for cheating on her or not telling her that he had sex with somebody while they're on a breakup. Girl, who knows? She gets back with John, super disrespectful, right, to Shane, who she has tattooed on her hoo-ha. And they're having a good time. I guess they're out partying, and they go to a strip club. And Lacey gets jealous that Sean is talking to a stripper. And so they get into a fight. He gets in the car and leaves. And she calls the police on him and says that he's driving under the influence. And he goes back into prison for 10 months. And the way John is behaving when his friends pick him up from jail is like, man, I ain't been outside in 10 months. Man, I ain't been in a car in 10 months. Man, the backseat of this car feels really good. It's been 10 months. And I'm like, Sean, you've been in jail a lot. I don't understand why this last 10 months is the thing that's it's been so long. He's been to jail several times and longer than 10 months each time. I felt like the 10 months must have just been a little blip on his radar. But I guess he has to act up for the cameras. So he ends up getting his homeboy and his homeboy's girlfriend to pick him up. He's going to be staying at his friend Joe's house. That's where he's paroled to because he didn't want to involve his family for the umpteenth time in his nonsense. And let's not forget, John is a heroin addict, okay? We get pictures or we get images of him and video of him being relatively normal. So it's easy to forget that he actually has some deep-rooted issues. The man is in his 30s and he's a heroin addict, and he's been a heroin addict for 10 years. So he really wants to know what happened. Did Lacey call the police on him? Meanwhile, Lacey is living in marital bliss with Shane, and Shane's working really hard, trying to get the money to be able to afford his very first child. And I like his attitude about it. When he's having this whole conversation about him wanting a boy because he can relate to boys better and that he doesn't understand panties and girls things. I was just that's really weird that for whatever reason, you're oh, if I have a daughter, I'm gonna have to worry about her panties. What? I don't think you would. Also, Lacey is definitely primarily, at least it seems, raised by her father. So if you needed to know how to be a girl dad, you could just ask your father-in-law. Sometimes they be saying dumb stuff on here, and I'm just for why? For my entertainment? Because I'm not entertained. Lacey is just standing there, looking, listening to him, kind of not really saying anything, and I'm actually okay with that. She has a conversation with her daughter where the daughter says, where's daddy? And daddy being Shane. So those kids think of Shane as their father. So at this point, I'm Lacey just needs to let it all go. Leave Shane, John alone and just stay with Shane. You know what I'm saying? I know it's hard on her. I know this is her fourth kid, but she's a grown woman and she knows what she's doing and she made all the choices, and here we are. Going back to John, we have a scene where John is in a bed and he's so excited because he hasn't slept on a bed in 10 months, girl. 10 months, we get it. He hasn't slept on a bed in 10 months, and so they give him a mask, tell him he has to wear that flimsy-ass mask, which I'm just can we just get you a real mask, because those little pieces of cloth over your face don't do anything. And he's I guess gonna show up at her house to demand answers, and I'm just ugh. The drama, I'm kind of here for it because, I don't know, there's something interesting about John's, confidence and the way he talks about Shane in the confessional. Shane, he doesn't understand why Lacey wants Shane. Shane's not educated. Shane's just a country boy. Shane's just this and that. And I'm John, Shane is not educated, and I don't think you are either. Also, he's not a heroin addict. So he says that Lacey's going to eventually get bored with Shane and then she'll come running back to him, I guess. And I'm just why would she do that? Lacey actually looks pretty good in her confessionals. I mean, she's going for a definite style. It's a definite look, but she looks good in that look. You know what I'm saying? Also, did she have a baby bump? I thought I saw one, but I was kind of watching this at work, so I wasn't really looking at the screen. I was just looking at my computer screen because I had a lot of work to do, but I was listening. Does she have a baby bump? I mean, it's been a serious 10 months then. Like, how far along is she in her pregnancy at this point? Those are just the questions that I have. All right, moving on. Let's talk about Marcelino and Brittany. All right, so in this segment with Marcelino and Brittany, we have Brittany coming home after she has spoken to her mother, asking Marcelino for his advice with dealing with her mother. And she brought up a lot of really good points. She said that her mother has asked for help before, and she's given it before, and she's reneged, and she's, gone back to her old ways. And she just worries that what if after the 25th time of her mother asking for help, when she really needs it, and then she dies, and then Brittany's gonna feel guilty. So she feels like she needs to do everything she can. Marcelino says the way he worked on it, the way he got his mother to be sober, is that he put down boundaries and made her, understand that she wasn't gonna be in his life unless she got sober. And Brittany's like, yeah, but my mom does not care about me like that. Obviously, she has umpteen amount kids, and she's been a pill popper, an alcoholic, and all of these things for all of her life, all of, Brittany's life, 25 years, and nothing has, prompted her to stop that behavior. So what made Marcelino's mother straighten up is not going to make Brittany's mother straighten up, which is a very valid point. And I really just love the conversation between Brittany and Marcelino. To me, Brittany and Marcelino are what Love After Lockup should be. People who are doing well, people who are just trying to get on their feet. And Brittany has the luxury of being with a man who actually has money, doesn't have any baggage, and is willing to go out and work because, obviously she can't. I mean, she can't because she went and had 3 babies automatically. But, if she hadn't, she wouldn't have been able to work, and it would have been really difficult for her. So Brittany walked into a really good situation, and I'm happy for her. You guys know I love Brittany. That's all I have to say about them. All right, so the next couple that we're going to talk about is Andrea and Lamar. So we're hot off the presses where Tennyson has supposedly embarrassed Andrea in front of that white man. That's the only reason why she's upset, is because Tennyson embarrassed her in front of that priesthood holder. And so Tennyson was like, I told you from the jump I didn't want to do this. You're the one that's not believing me. You're the one that's trying to force what you want on me, and I don't want that. And so they're having a family conversation, and Lamar is like, look, if the boy don't want to go, the boy don't want to go. And I'm fully supporting it too. And Andrea's like, well, he's making it seem like I'm a bad parent. And Tennyson is very much like, you guys fight a lot. I don't want to leave Priscilla in this situation. I want to be there to shelter her. And so when she's trying to say how he feels, Andrea's like, well, I don't want to say how I feel, because if I say how I feel, nobody will care. It's like, no, Andrea, it's that you want everyone to take your word as gospel, and they're not. So it's not that they don't care. They hear you. They just don't agree with you. And they're people who have autonomy with their bodies, and they're not going to listen to you. That's just what it is. You need to go ahead and get on that. So, Andrea is really doing her best to keep us entertained. I don't believe this is all her personality. I believe really she is trying to keep herself on the show to make money for her family. And I honestly can't hate her for that. I really can't. So we have Priscilla, who is 8 years old and cannot keep a secret, girl. I was just like, why can't she keep this secret? I don't think it was right for Lamar to ask her to keep a secret from her mother, but it's not a bad secret. It's just a secret that makes Andrea look stupid. So the whole secret being that they hung out with Lamont's older daughter and Priscilla's older sister. You know what I'm saying? And it's just so dumb. It's so dumb. It's so dumb. Oh, dumb. So Priscilla almost spills the beans. Lamar catches it in the middle and adds a little bit extra and was like, oh yeah, we saw the ice cream man. Wink, wink. Priscilla's like, ooh. And then they have a little confessional with Priscilla where she's like, I don't want anyone to not like me because I didn't keep the secret or because I kept the secret. No more confessionals from the 8-year-old, please. We don't need it. We don't need it. It's 8-year-old mind, and we're just like, girl, what? And so then Andrea makes them have some kind of, service lemonade where she made them make lemonade and go sit out in front of the house to bring Jesus Christ to the neighborhood. And Tennyson and Nyla are just like, this is the stupidest thing I've ever heard of in my life. They have Priscilla out there, and Priscilla's drawing her family tree. So Priscilla ends up telling them about her older sister. And they're like, we're not going to tell on you. And then to the confessional, they're just like, but Lamar shouldn't have asked her to keep the secret, especially from her mother, because they know how Andrea's going to react. And I 100% agree. I just feel like that is production, right? That is just keeping the storyline going. Because obviously it's going to come out that they hung out with the older sister, and Andrea's going to blow up. Duh! All right, let me go powder my nose. I'll be back. Just so you guys know that it wasn't a euphemism, I literally went to put powder on my nose because I was sweating in my T-zone. You know what I'm saying? All right, so the next couple that we're going to talk about is Lindsay and Scott. Okay, so now we have this whole train wreck of Lindsay and Scott, girl. Like, I mean, I'm not even interested in their storyline. So Lindsay decides that because her privacy was broken and Scott went through all her shit, that she's gonna go through his shit. So I guess he has his passwords written down in his office. So she goes in there, he's not home, and she starts to snooping, girl. She finds out that he is paid for escorts, that he is not rich at all and he's in debt, that the house that he supposedly bought is not something he purchased, it's a lease or a rental or some girl, I don't know. And that he's like promised other girls money. And so she's gonna be crying because she's like, the person that I've been talking to for the last 2 years, I don't know who that person is. And I'm like, that behavior is exactly in line with who he's presented himself to be on TV, in my opinion. Does Scott look rich? Does Scott look like a man who has a lot of money? Like, he does not. Like, I don't know why she thought he was a millionaire. I mean, he definitely isn't. Like, I just don't know. I don't think she asked enough questions, but she's surprised that he is taking out escorts, that he would pay for services. And I'm just like, you know, it's a thing. I know men who like to pay for services. They just like the fact that it's paid for. There's no ambiguity. They know that they're getting a specific service and they're okay with that. And I feel it's the same way. Any guy who's going to write a girl in prison for 2 years, promise her things, buy her a house, send her magazines to prison so that she can pick out her dream home. Like, did Lindsay really think that she was that bomb, that she was that cute, that she was that like lucky to be able to get with a guy who's legitimately a millionaire and then like not know that he has problems? You don't, as somebody who has money and who's successful and who's most likely never been to prison, you don't write a woman in prison, feed her all this information, tell her you want to take care of her and not have some problems, because you could literally do that without having to get somebody who's in prison. You've got problems if you do that. They all do. Like Marcelino, as much as I like him, he crazy for writing somebody in prison. They're all crazy. This is a crazy thing to do. Like, you, unless you knew them before they went to prison, but to like be like, I'm so lonely and bored, let me try to talk to somebody who can't go anywhere, who has no choice but to accept my adoration because they're stuck in an impossible situation and my love is only going to be received most likely with open arms. Listen, I'm sad and lonely too. You know what I'm saying? But to get and start, maybe I should just start writing a prisoner. No, then my hand starts to hurt. I can't write like letters. Ugh. Have you guys ever tried to just like write a letter these days? I just can't. I cannot. Ugh, it's like dead hand. All right. So then Lindsay calls Tara Bell to tell Tara Bell, I guess, about what's going on. And okay. Venting to your girlfriend about your fiance is weird. So whenever she calls Tara Bell, I don't understand what we're supposed to do or feel or think about it, besides it being like weird. I have really nothing to say after that. Okay, let's move on. Let's move on to Amber and Puppy, because I guess Vince is no longer in the situation. So, as we know, Amber has gotten out of prison. She's been out for about 8 months now. She's dropped Vince. Her mother is now out of prison and has kind of made her feel bad for not being able to like make it work with Vince so that they could take his money. And so she's worried about what's going to happen when Puppy, Amber, and her mother are out together and what shenanigans could possibly ensue. Because she says that she loves Puppy, and Puppy's her babe, Puppy's her boo-boo, Puppy's her best friend, Puppy's her everything. So you know that Amber has parole to Puppy's mother's house. I can't remember Puppy's mother's name, but I do recall that voice. And that is a voice of someone who has the black lung. That woman is just, it's like, like every time, just like cough it out. Like, you know, like when you were little and you had like phlegm in your chest and your parents would make you just cough it and spit it out. That's what I just wanted her to do the whole time. Anyways, so Puppy's mother hasn't seen her in 6 years. So she's really excited to find out that Puppy's going to be out in 3 days. So is Amber. And so the mother's like, well, I don't even have a bed ready for her. I'm not ready for her to come out. And Amber's like, she can stay with me. And Amber's mother's like, and Puppy's mother is like, ooh, she's worried that being in a relationship right out of prison is going to upset Puppy to where she gets back on the drugs and starts to do the wild things wild thing that just popped into my head. Okay, Tone Loc, let's bring it back. So Puppy's mother is worried that being with Amber is going to cause undue stress to Puppy if things don't go well, and that Puppy's going to start her bad ways. So I don't know what she's going to do. Like, what is she going to say to Amber? How is she going to convey this worry to Puppy? And the fact that Amber's mother ain't shit and will drag her daughter into all kinds of crimes. You know what I'm saying? I mean, her mother did say she felt bad that her daughter was in prison with her, but I'm just like, I feel like Amber's mother is somebody who had her children very young and so thought of them as her best friends because that's the way she coped with the fact that she was a parent so young. Like, she just had to be like, well, you're my little ace boon, let's do this. And it never really stopped. And she never really was that role model. She feels like she's just like an older sister, honestly. She was never that role model that her kids needed, or at least Amber needed, in order to be on the straight and narrow. It's kind of sad, honestly. And I really am interested in the chemistry between Puppy and Amber because we've been hearing about Puppy for 2 seasons now, and it's now time to see her. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, you guys are on a show. You don't need to commit crimes. Like, you have a reality TV show. And Amber is pretty likable. So if she keeps herself like good and keeps the drama going but isn't like too crazy, I think Amber can have a good little career on Life After Lockup. Speaking of a good career here on Life After Lockup, let's move on to Sarah and Michael. Okay, because Sarah, she just loves the drama, it feels like. I just don't understand why Sarah can't let go of Michael. And Michael knows that Sarah can't let go of Michael. So it's the day after he didn't show up to the court, and he comes to the house. Malcolm is there, and Malcolm is just like, it's like 2 cocks in a hen house. Michael is so rude. Michael is like, oh yeah, how is she gonna go from a boss? How is she gonna leave a boss like me and get with a simp like Malcolm? And I'm like, Michael, you're not a boss. Like, trifling ass looking like yo daddy Michael. You're not a boss. So he plays with Aviana and, you know, a little bit with Rain, and they're like tossing Rain back and forth because, you know, he wants to play with Aviana and he doesn't just want to hold Rain, and Rain don't even want to be with him anyway. So I don't understand like what's going on with that. And like Sarah's like, no, take Rain, you're here to play with them, take them both, while she just sits in the room on the bed with Malcolm and they have secret whisper conversations about Michael, who's in the other room. I'm like, listen, you guys, there are 2 kids, 3 adults, and like 5 cameramen and producers in that house. Like, it is hot in there. It looks hot. I feel like it's hot. And if the cameras are just on you while you're like trying to have a whisper conversation with your new bae about your old bae and setting up boundaries. And Sarah's gonna have the audacity to say that Malcolm is just gonna have to get used to the way Michael moves because that's her kid's father, and that's just the way it is. My mind is fucking blown. Like, this is my mind. Whoa! Whoa! Wow! Like, does that make any sense? Michael is no good for anyone's children. This whole idea of I don't want to keep him from his children is so stupid. Michael is not a good influence on himself. He hasn't survived life himself. What jewels of knowledge does he have to give to those girls ever? Just, okay. All right, you guys. So that's the end of this recap. Let me know down below what you think specifically of Michael and Sarah in this whole situation. You know, I just need to know what everybody thinks about them because I just like, I just don't understand it, you know? I just don't understand it. All right, you guys, don't forget to thumbs up this video, subscribe to my channel, and hit that notification bell so that, you know, YouTube knows that you want to see my content, and so that my content bubbles up to the top when you search Life After Lockup or Love After Lockup. You know what I mean? I want it to be synonymous with Wahima. Well, no, maybe I don't. Maybe I don't want it to be synonymous. But like, I want it to be searchable. Hey, all right. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a fantastic week. And remember to be you, be true, and find your place. Bye.